In this section, we are dealing with Solidworks. So I'm going to show you the step-by-steps to get this one done. So first of all, I'm going to start with the top plane. So follow my cursor with everything I do. So at the top plane, I will, so if I start with the top plane, I'm going to right click. When I right click, I will select a triangular shape. It will form a triangular shape, then an arrow will point upward. So when I do that, it will make this stuff to come out. Then I will click my rectangle command, which I did over there. Center rectangle, not corner, center rectangle at that sketch there. So when I do that, I will go to my, now before I continue, I have to work with millimeters. So if you look at the lower right corner, this down part here, there's something we have IPS there. So that IPS, I change it to M millimeters. So when I click my smart dimension, I click on the lower parts or the upper part of the rectangle. I will edit it there. So I'm making use of 100. I'm making use of 100. Then at sticky my smart dimension again, I click the right hand side. When I click, I just move to this part. I highlight it. Then I think I'm making use of 50 for this part. So that's 100 by 50 millimeters. Now this is the rectangle part. Now I want to get this structure. So meaning that I'm going to start from the base. I will take the base upward and to get the other part that is needed. Now, for the next part, I'm going to extrude. You can see the diagrams I'm going getting up there. So, but I'm not using the exact dimension that we have from the question. So I'm just trying to show. So when I extrude base, my base there, I want to make it to be 20. So I will extrude my base. That means the thickness. So I want the thickness to be 20. When I do that, I enter. Then I click this arrow here, that green mark. So I will firstly check what's the direction. So when I do that, I will mark. So this is the base now. Now from this base, I'm going to get the top parts. Now when I click on this top part, and when I click on this top part and I right click with my mouse, it also brings some things. Then I will click the one that's having the triangle and the arrow shape. You see it from what it's going to bring. It's going to have the triangle and the arrow shape. When I right click, yeah, although because I'm scroll recording, it doesn't bring it. But when you right click at that top, it will bring the arrow and the triangle shape and the rectangle shape rather, so that it will bring this in the format that I want. So I click my rectangle, but corner rectangle now. So I start from that corner, I move it to this part. Automatically, it will get itself. Then I'm going to make use of my corner rectangle again. I do the same thing on the right hand side too. You know, I'm having two pillar down close there. So with my smart dimension, I click that top, then I highlight what dimension do I want to use. I want to use 20. So when I enter 20, I click enter, then I escape 2 times. Then the same thing here, click my smart dimension, click on the parts there, take 20, then enter. Once I enter, then I will click escape on my keyboard 2 times. So when I now have this, because I don't need dimension to be there, so I just need to get the shape. Now I'm going to extrude it. I want to extrude it upward. So when I click the Add Features, I click the Extrude Base. At that Extrude Base, I want to extrude it upward with 15. Don't forget, I'm just using my own dimension. So with 50 now, I'm going to check it before I mark. So once I see that the direction is up, I will mark. Now, this is what I have for the two pillar left and right. But now what do we need? We need the circle at this part. So I click this part, then I now right click. When I right click, I will click that option also, the arrow pointing upwards of that triangle that is going to bring for that meaning. Now, I need to get my circle to be centralized here. So I take my line command, then I try to get, there will be a point here. You see, that's it. So that's the point where, if you look at it, where if you move your cursor away, there will be a point there where it will intersect. So that's what I just did there. Then your line command is just by typing L. Just type L from your keyboard and then you get your line command. Now I'm going to I click the circle command, the center circle, normal circle. So I click at the center of the line, then I edit my radius down here. Once I draw my circle, I just draw any one. Then I will now edit the radius here to specify which one I'm using. So I'm using 15 for my radius of the circle so that the total diameter can be 15. So I divide it by 15, total diameter is 13. So that's what I did. Now I want to extrude cuts because I need a O at this part. So I'm going to extrude the cuts so that it will go inwards. Now, extruded cuts, that's what I have over there. Now, when I extruded cuts, the depth of that pillar there is at 20, right? So I click 20. But before I enter, I have to check the direction. Is it going inwards or outward? Now, when it's going inward, as you can see from the diagram, I will mark it as green. So that's what I have from the SolidWorks. Then I turn it. I use my mouse to turn the middle scroll of your mouse. If you press it down instead of scrolling, if you press it down and you move it, that's what we call palming. So now I click at this place also. Then I click right click to get the menu of the arrow so that I can get this part soon. Now I take my line command just like I did the other one also. My line command, then from up there to this part, it also show on its own. Then I take my circle the same way, normal circle. We have two circle there. We have perimeter circle and normal circle. So I put it at the center point, draw it first, then I edit the radius to be also 15. Now when I do that to be 15, I enter. Then I remove the line first. So I have to remove the line. I just click on the line and delete it. That's what I did in the former one too. The line has to be removed or else it's not going to extrude. So when I extrude the cuts, 20 is already there, then I enter. Automatically on its own, it enters. Now I use my mouse to palm it. I've told you how to palm. Use the scrolling cursor. Instead of scrolling it, just long press it, like press it down instead of scrolling. That middle one. Press it down, then move your mouse left and right, like up and down, like that. You can palm. Instead of scrolling that middle one, press it down instead of scrolling. Press it down, then move your mouse. You palm. Now the next part now, I want to get it in auto. Now, if you go to up there, which that's only just the arrow there, you see file, then make diagram from parts. Make diagram from parts. When you click on it, it will give you a template to use. You can use A3, A4, whatever, or you can create your own paper. When you do that, at that point, so you are going to make drawing from parts. So when you see make drawing from parts, when you click it, it will bring a template for you to use. Once you see the templates, you can use anyone, A3, A4, A4 portrait, A4 landscape. So I think I'm using A4 landscape here. So when you do that, you have your template as this. Then it's going to give you the parts based on the diagram you have done. So this template is already there. You can use it to edit your dimension, or you can use it to write your name and other things. Now, I want to move the part that I need. I have the front, top, right. So I started with the isometric view. So I will just click it. I will right click, then drag my mouse, not leaving it. I right click, drag my mouse, then drop it there. So the same thing here, I right click my top, no, left click rather, left click will drag. So I left click my top, put it there. By the time I click there, I'll just move my mouse, it will form on its own. So I'm having this one, but the side view there is not correct. So I'm going to click the right side view. I will left click it, drag it, then move it to this part. Now, I will escape. Now, if I click this plan, I will click this part there at that display style. Then it will form for that one also, the other one also. Do the same thing for the side. Now, for the 3D, I will make the display style to be the other one. That thickness there, as you can see from the video. So now the next part is for me to add dimension, to dimensioning my diagram. So I'm going to use annotation. At annotation, I will use the smart dimension. But now, before I do that, you can see what I'm getting is not correlating with what I used earlier. So I will go down there where I have my IPS, the lower right corner also. So at my lower right corner, I will click the millimeters. That's the mmgs. So I go there also at that IPS. I click there and I click the millimeters gram, so the mmgs. Now, when I now go to my smart dimension now, that's being done. So I now go over to my smart dimension again, click my smart dimension. Then now I now start, when I click this place and I drag my mouse, I'm seeing the dimension. So when I click, I will now come to this tolerance and position. Our position here, I will select none. I will select none. When I select none, it means it's the whole number. I do the same thing, smart dimension again. I click this side, I click, then I drag. When I drag, I click again. Then I select at the position and I click none. Then the same thing to when I do that smart dimension. So that's how I do it for each and every one of them. All right. So first of all, I got the diagram as a three-dimensional shape. Then after that, I now get the three views. It's not only the three views this time around. You can see from the template earlier, I get to about up to like 12 different views like I have for the diagram. Not only front, top, even the auxiliary view from different direction. But the first thing is that I got it in three-dimensional form. Then from three-dimensional form, I bring out the views in two dimensions shape. So that's what I have there. So I try to get all the dimensions. How do you get all the dimensions? By using the smart dimension, both for the straight lines and also for the circular arc. So I do that for with smart dimension. So in the use of in the use of SolidWorks, so this is what we make use of. So you start from your top plane, then you take the step one after the other, trying to replicate the sketch you have from your diagram or from your question. And you also take all the dimensions with it too. You take all the dimensions with them. So that's what we have there. Then I take this dimension also. You can see all the dimensions. I try as much as possible to centralize them. I take this one also. Now, no dimension should enter the other. You can see I'm trying to give space, trying to make sure like one above the other. So that 20 and 60, I did not put them together. So the 60 already, you can see I didn't put it in its own number. So when I did not put it in own number, I will just click it. When I click it, it's going to bring the menu at the left hand side. Then I will just take my position again to be none. So that's what I have there. You can see this 20 is not centralized. Yeah. So what do? I click it, then I click again, then I drag my mouse, then I click. It's going to be centralized. So if you make that mistake, you can easily attempt and redo it. It's just as simple as that. So this is my 3D. We cannot dimension the 3D here. So it's only this other one, but we can move it. We can drag it if the position is not okay. We can also drag the other one if the position is not okay. So this is what we have with the few dimensions that I can put for now. And you can put other dimensions as much as possible. Now the next part now is for me to get my lettering. Possibly I want to put a name, title, projection, scale. This scale is what is 1:1 because there's no increment and there's no reduction. So that's what I'm going to do here. Now you can see this sketch one that we have here. Yeah, the name I use to save. Now, if I want to save this sheet, if I use assignments to save this sheet or to save this file now, the assignment is going to show here. But now I want to write a name, so I go to the annotation here. There, you see the notes A. So at that annotation, you see the notes A. So when you click the note A, then you drag to the space you want to type from. So when you click it there, it will bring your menu there, then you can start typing. When you type your name or whatever you want to write, then you control A. When you control A, then you can select a different line type, different line size, but you have to control A. Now, when you control A now, it will highlight everything. So I click A for this one. When I click A, I look for area black. Area black. So it's area black I use for this to make it more tickling and bold. Then my lettering size, I think I used 13 or 14, like that. So you can use that to edit your space then. So this is what I told you, the sketch is the name used to save your stuff. So that's all for this on SolidWorks. Watch out for more.